All right, guys, it's normally get tilted. Everyone gets tilted. There's different kinds of tilts, and there's different things you guys can do to solve them. The most common and most stereotypical kind of tilt is we're frustrated, things are not going our way, getting bad beats, people are re-raising us, people are showing us bluffs when we fold, we're calling it, they have it. Life sucks. Basically, bad times, one of the worst games you can play. A lot of bad shit's going on. What are we gonna do? First of all, take a walk is actually a great way. Just like kind of release all the shit that's going on, or at least give it less power anyway, give it less attention. Taking a walk is one of the easiest things you can do. It doesn't require something that's a little woo-woo, such as meditation, which actually really does work really well too. And that would be one of my second suggestions, which is to take a little break and meditate for a bit, which I rarely do actually, but I might do if I'm really getting out of whack and it's starting to get really edgy, thinking, okay, well, I need to stop being so edgy and take a break and meditate a bit so that I'm not so reactive on the whole, especially outside of the poker room. But yeah, something that will help calm things. Another thing that will help a lot, just scientifically speaking, is actually breath work. There are various different forms of breath work. One of the suggestions I have for you guys that there is some science to is basically Kriya Yoga. You guys can Google that, but also there's one from Ravi Shankar, one of my favorite gurus that's popular. I read his books, and I think his books are amazing. He has lots of very insightful, wise things that he says, and he's got something called the Happiness Program for those of you guys who can afford it. And he has a series of exercises for which the science of is supposed to calm your nervous system. That's the whole reason why it makes you happy, because it no longer makes your moods shift up and down so high. It makes you kind of at peace with everything. And that's pretty much why it ends up making you happy, because you just feel cool no matter what, or your mood is less jostled a lot of the time. A not so simple fix for this kind of tilt is to put your eggs in other baskets. First of all, I want to point out that I get frustrated plenty of the time, but I do recognize the principle behind it. And I have other issues of entitlement. I get jostled a bit at the poker table, but we can see that it's entitlement. I can tell you that for me, I don't get frustrated very long with poker, partly because, and what really helped me overall was I put my attention in things that were not as emotionally ensnaring and was just a bit more centered in that kind of way. I just had other areas of focus, such as other passions for work and life outside of poker. Basically, there's all kinds of different options. You very socially, you can socialize a lot. You have certain hobbies that might help. If you have a different career that you're also pursuing, that may help. If you're a family guy, you can go hanging with the family and that may help you. There's lots of science behind that. That actually was the overall largest fix, and how it just doesn't jostle me too much. That being said, if you're really bent on success, you can go the ultra stressful route and put all your eggs in to poker or whatever it is and focus really hard at winning, and you'll get really frustrated when you lose, but your chances of success are going to go up. A couple other kinds of tilt that are a bit more subtle and nefarious, one of which is kind of the opposite. Things are going really well and you feel on top of the world and feels like you can't lose. This would be winner's tilt, and this is actually a pretty common one. This happens all the fucking time. People do this in all kinds of different ways. Apart beyond poker, they do business, they do all kinds of things. They feel like they're God's gift to whatever, to poker, to business, and they feel like they're smarter than everyone else, blah blah. And basically all the cards are landing in their favor, and often people are a little annoyed at them and think, fuck, these people are actually quite lucky and they don't realize it. Well, guess what? First of all, those people tend to be annoying. That sucks. So that's one thing to think about. The good news is in poker, it doesn't last forever, or it doesn't last too long at all. The way to get past this one is to remember, when you're hitting lots of cards and your bluffs are working all the time, that it's not going to last forever, and that this is how you get fucked and you play lots of stupid hands and you run lots of stupid bluffs, and then eventually your punts catch up to you and you realize, oh shit, I was actually punting the entire time, and then you're back in the doghouse and back in playing the bad times game, and then you feel like, oh fuck, like you might feel like you'll never win again, and you oscillate between those two moods if you're anything like me. I have been guilty of doing both things, but I keep reminding myself to not get too on winner's tilt and start doing stupid things that don't make any sense. The key would be reaffirming what's real, like staying grounded for that one. There's other different kinds of tilts that are a bit more obvious in a sense, but when you're in them, they're not obvious. But basically tilts that are really create a lot of pressure, a psychological pressure in various circumstances, such as when you're on a final table and you've got a backer and you really want to win very badly and you don't want to look stupid in front of your backer, and you also want to play very well. It can be very hard to do things that are a little unconventional in these circumstances, consequences. And in this case, especially if you're new to the situation, it's going to be extremely hard to overcome it. And what I'd advise for that is to do a little pre-studying, a little priming, etc. to imagine various cutoffs of when you will take the aggressive lines, such as what your bluffs might look like in various lines, what your check raises on the river might look like, what your 3-bets may look like, that sort of thing. Are we going to 3-bet ace-10 offsuit sometimes? Or are we going to 3-bet ace-2 offsuit all the time? So what are our bluffs in these spots? The best way of doing things to just reduce things to clarity so that you don't have to fight this like weird game of, okay, should I bluff now? Should I not bluff now? Etc. etc. Lean too much on one side or the other side will help a bit with the psychological stuff, and to also pay really close attention to what your opponents are doing to see how they're really playing, basically being really focused on what's going on. But that will be a bit more natural because you're probably super nervous, and so you probably really want to win, and so you should use that to your advantage and pay really close attention to what your opponents are doing if you don't want to look stupid in front of your backers and make a lot of money with going deep in tournaments. These are the ways that you guys can handle a few different kinds of tilts. Let me know what you think and what other things you'd like to have my help with your mental game.